when really at the end of the day, it's just the matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
That's why it's really important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my gosh.
Yo! Who is this degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is impermanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so we can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crypto degenerates, ducks and squirrels, welcome to our DGen Roundtable episode number 34. It's a very, very, very important episode this Sunday because we have broken past our 1,000K subs mark on YouTube. So, hey, give yourselves a pat on the back, roll your shoulders, throw your chest back and strut around because now you're part of a 1,000 plus K sub community. I want to welcome my panel that we got here tonight. By the way, for those of you who don't know, I'm Will Stevenson. I'm one of the networking guys for the DGen Roundtable. I roll around the states and I find folks and I talk to them and hang out and do cool stuff, interview cool people, all that sort of thing. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce to you the rest of our panel tonight. For the folks at home who have never seen us before, you guys probably know who we are, but we got Agent J, we got Josh Chocolate Taint, and we got Nate McGettit. Gentlemen, will you go ahead and tell the folks at home who you are, what you kind of do, and what's going on, what's new and exciting with you? Starting with my fantastic co-host, Mr. Agent J. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, my friend? And what is going on to you filthy degenerates out there joining us live on this wonderful Sunday evening? Like my friend Will alluded to earlier, this is a very special episode, not just because of what's going on in the market. I'm sure you guys have been excited with all the shenanigans going on these past few days, but yes, indeed, we have hit 1,000 subscribers. This is very special because, as most of you know, people that try and engage in this endeavor very rarely make it past, I think it's like 12 episodes. And so the fact that we have gone almost an entire year of creating content, not just for us, but for the rest of the community, and we have achieved 1,000 subscribers before the halving even occurred, that was actually my goal. The team will know that one of my major goals for us as a community was to reach 1,000 subscribers pre-halving, and we have achieved it. And that is, thanks, of course, to our wonderful audiences, the people that have given us their time and their wisdom, who have come on and shared their knowledge here, who have, basically given us their trust, because otherwise they wouldn't have come onto this platform to begin with, right? So a big shout out and a big thank you to the community, to the special guests, and I am very much looking forward to what another year of the DGen Roundtable looks like. So I am very excited. Josh, how you been, brother? You are looking good, my friend. Can you please update people on what you have been up to, what you've been doing in the background, and why you have been fairly silent over the last few weeks, but always working?
Yeah, for sure. So I went down to Florida at the end of February, and by the way, my name is Josh. For you guys, if you guys are new to the channel, my name is Josh. I'm one of the OGs on the team here. I fill in wherever I'm needed, whether it's producing, whether it's hosting, whether it's on the panel. That's what I do. So if you guys are new to the channel and you haven't seen me before, I am Josh. Hopefully you guys will be seeing more of me as the months continue to roll along. But so I went down to Florida around February and came back home, and I made a decision that, okay, it's time to give myself another challenge in life. Things were starting to go really well with the channel. Things were looking up there, and things are going well in work. So I decided to just give myself another challenge and improve my health a little bit. So starting in the end of February, I decided that I wanted to switch my diet completely to a carnivore diet. So I swapped over to the carnivore diet, started doing one meal a day, and started a 6-day-a-week workout routine. So I'm down about 25 pounds ish now. So in about 6 or 7 weeks, I'm going to continue the trend going. But yeah, so that's sort of why I stepped back a little bit. I've been grinding, focusing on that aspect. You guys have been crushing it on the channel. I've been watching every single stream, every single episode, and all that stuff. So, but you guys are crushing it behind the scenes. I felt that we were to the point where it was cool if I went ahead and stepped back, gave folks, the opportunity to fill in as host. Will, you've been crushing it. Shout out to Nate, Jay, you're crushing it as always also. And all those folks, we have Brendan stepping in a bunch and all that stuff. So I figured it was time to let a couple more people host. I would step back a little bit and just sort of re-engage, refocus, sort of what I wanted to do through the rest of the winter into the spring, going into the summer. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. So yeah, man, excited. 1K subs. I mean, that's awesome. I remember when we were grinding to get our first 100 and then our first 200, and where the channel was, the progressions that we've had, the arguments that we've gotten into, and the celebration that we've gotten into, and all that stuff, man. I mean, it hasn't always been a cakewalk. We got 10 folks on the team here, and a lot of us are alpha individuals. So balancing 10 personalities and balancing 10 different mindsets, there's a lot of smashing of heads at times, but the mutual respect and just the common goal is continues to improve. And I tell you what, if this channel, just being a part of this group, being a part of this venture, this project, it's taught me more outside of crypto than it has taught me about crypto. So just everything from teamwork to leadership to learning how to follow to all that different sorts of stuff. So, but yeah, shout out to Brother 64. I see you there, man. Good to see you, dude. Looking to have you back with us. But I'm not going to take up too much more time. Nate, what's going on, man? How are you?
Doing well. No, but I mean, it's okay, Josh. You can go ahead and go for 2 hours. We're good here. We'll just this will be Josh's episode. Josh is back. No, I'm doing well. Just kind of continuing on doing what I'm doing. But we hit 1K subscribers, right? Which is absolutely amazing. It just seeing every time I'm monkeying around, just going around looking at things, and I see that 4-digit 1,000 when it comes to our subscribers, I'm just like, oh, that's awesome looking. So it's definitely been a hurdle to get to that 1,000, right? But we definitely jumped it. We worked hard, and we've hit it. And if you think about it too, like I was just thinking about this. This is episode 34, right? Episode 34, but we've been doing basically three episodes every week. And this is only our main show, right? So, and I think we skipped like 1 or 2. So we've been doing this for a grand total of like 35, probably about 35 weeks, right? Absolutely amazing. Our consistency has been wild. And now shout out to you guys though in the chat. You guys are doing absolutely amazing. It's like we would not be here if it wasn't for you guys. Seriously. So I appreciate you all. And in celebration, I'm going to be drinking a little bit, just a little bit while on the show tonight. So
there's the first one. You know what, bro? I will join you. I'm going to crack open this beautiful can of mango flavored bubbly sparkling water because I am inside a running vehicle right now, and so I should probably not be doing illegal things. But excellent and outstanding. Yo, and speaking of big shout outs to the chat, nice huge shout out to Sam over at Brothers 64. Sam and oh shoot, I want to say it's Greg. Forgive me, brother, if your name is not Greg, but here's big fucking shout out to the Brothers 64. These guys have been with us since like day fucking 1, bro. And these guys are just some of the coolest content creators out there. I love the stuff that they're doing over on Instagram, YouTube, and I believe TikTok as well. I'm not entirely positive, but big thank you to you guys for giving us that $10 super chat. It is indeed fantastic and great to have Josh back with us. Without any further ado, though, we're going to go ahead and jump right into the chats and say hello to all these fantastic folks who are joining us tonight. So first off, we got Crypto Crossfire. Shout out to Crypto Crossfire. First, going to go to sleep. He sent this message at 3:09 p.m. So Homeboy was in the chats like way before the show even started. So big shout out to you, Crypto Crossfire.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, hashtag Doge dope. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, go Doge dope or whatever. I guess Dogecoin is smoking weed or something, or whatever. Next up, we got Funkmaster Hex. He popped in at 4 o'clock to give us a fantastic drinkity drink emoji. So here's to you, Funkmaster Hex. The guy always replying with a little drink emoji at the end of his messages. Salute to you, good sir. Next up, we got Farmer J, Brown 310. It's all going to zero. You're absolutely right, Brown. But before it goes to zero, we're going to ride these waves up and we're going to ride these waves down. Eventually, the sun's going to blot out. We'll all fizzle out into nothingness. But it's going to be a hell of a ride up until that point. After that, we got US Crypto Boogie. Crypto Boogie in the house. What's poppin', monkeys? What's poppin' with you, good sir? It's nice to have you in here. Checking out our show and seeing what's going on. For those of you who are not already subscribed, go on over to Crypto Boogie's channel. He makes some fantastic content, does TA, covers a lot of GameFi, a lot of cool stuff in the space. He's an OG. I met him over in Vegas. He's a super cool guy. Hell of a good dude. I believe that we've interviewed him on this channel, and we pop over to his over to his channel and guest appear from time to time quite frequently. So big shout out to Crypto Boogie. Next up, we got Kenturian54X. Good evening, D-Gens. What's up, Kenturian, bro? Good to hear from you again. I hope you're enjoying flying your crop dusting plane over there, wherever you're at up in the Pacific Northwest, having a good time. I'm pretty sure that that's what you do. I remember you coming on the show one time and talking about like piloting and stuff, and that sounds fucking awesome, bro. So good to hear that you're over there having fun and stuff. Oh, snap. We missed one. Mrs. McGettit, could you please bring up? Oh, never mind. I'm not going to read that one. Next up, we got No Diddy Gang. Dre Sims in the house. Dre Sims is also another loyal supporter. He was with us from day one. Shout out to you, bro. Good job. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Dre Sims is on an iPhone, it appears. For those of you that don't know, whenever you see a 0.99 at the end of a super chat, that means they're on an iPhone, not an Android, because they default with 99-cent things. So excellent. Yeah. Thank you so very much to all of the folks in the chat for all these fantastic comments and everything. We wouldn't be anywhere without you guys. Like I am honestly dumbfounded every time I think that like there's people that are like listening to us talk and everything. I remember when we first started this channel, bros, it was like a Telegram group and we were all just like doing a whole bunch of DGen plays and just shooting the shit and everything. And then we were just like, oh, I guess we should record this. If you guys like, if anybody here in the channel wants to go and like listen to some nails on a chalkboard, go listen to some of our like oldest episodes. Just scroll through that so you can torture yourselves a little bit, and then I'll give you some nice perspective to see how crazy of a journey it's been since we are where we are now. So, anyways, that's enough for the introductions. That's enough for all of the 1K sub shoutouts and everything. Again, thank you so much to the guys in the channel. Make sure that you guys join our Telegram. The way that you can do that is you type in bit.ly/degenerate_roundtable. That will redirect you right on over into our Telegram community where you guys can chit chat and hang out with other cool DGen folks, and you can ask us questions and talk to a whole bunch of really cool influencers and project builders and devs and all sorts of cool things. But hop on over into our community. You guys can also scan the QR code that's at the bottom of the screen, or you can click the link in the video description below, and that will also take you over to the Telegram channel. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into a wonderful, awesome show. We're going to start off with some technical analysis from our good friend, Agent J Schroth. Mr. Agent J, would you mind pulling? Oh no, did we lose him? Oh, fuck. Oh, dear.
Poor Jay. He's been having some internet issues during Kitty's launch, Sully. He was going in and out. So poor guy.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to do this TA the old-fashioned way because I come prepared as usual. All right, so this is basically what we got going on, right? So here's the charts. Oh, fuck, you can't see. Hang on, let me grab a marker. I've got a marker right here somewhere. I am ready to rock and roll, D-Gens. All right, so we're going to do some TA here, right? So I've got my fancy schmancy piece of paper, une pièce de papier, and I'm going to draw a magical chart for you guys. So currently, this is price. It's a good thing I'm left-handed, huh? This is price, and this is time. All right, so we used to be over here in the time zone, but as time moves forward and the clock keeps ticking, we start making our way over to this way, and then this spot over here is way off into the future. We're not there yet, right? This is low price, so this is like the $1 zone. This is high price. This is like the $100 million zone. That's a lot of zeros. I'm just gonna put a whole bunch of zeros there. That's okay. I guess that's 10 million. And right now, this is the way that things are going, right? So it takes a long time for us to get to this point, as you can see on my chart right here with the time. And occasionally there's going to be, well, I didn't draw any dips or any valleys or anything like that. But this is basically your TA for the day. This is how shit's going to go. So are there any questions from? Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, if you take that line too, and you do kind of like a woo 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 woo, that's the market. Because what you're doing right now.
Yeah. Okay, so
you got the entire market for the past several like 12 years, right? And that's what it looks like. But in between that time, it's kind of like an up and down, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so what I'm giving you guys is what's it called, the 21 RSI, or the average over a long period of time. Or Josh, what's that called? What's that thing called? The 20. 21 EMA.
There's moving averages. There's I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to.
So my straight line of just average. All right. So if you guys can see this chart, you see how the price will fluctuate up. I'm like going backwards here because I'm trying to work off of my screen. So like, there we go. The price goes up and then the price goes down again, but then it goes up, but it trends in this like upwards trajectory over a long period of time. Right now, we don't know if this chart's on the daily, if it's on the weekly, or if this is even like a little 1 second chart right here. But this like total upward line is like, hey, in general, we're going up and to the right over a long period of time. Jay, it's nice to have you back, bro. We've been so if you're the great value technical analysis, then I'm the dollar general fucking technical analyst or whatever. But can you bring
I think Will already summed up TA. I don't think Jay even needs to do it. I think that's pretty rock solid right there.
You guys basically don't need to worry about what's up.
Okay, so my question is, I've learned a lot from the stock operators, right? When stock traders and stuff, and they always tell me that when it gets really high like that, that's when I need to sell, and then when I need to buy. But then when it gets really low like that, that's when I need to be selling. And they say that I can get extremely rich that way. Is that how that works?
So let me go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and write on here some information for you guys. So we've got the buys and the sells. This is when you put in your buys and your sell orders. I got to figure out where's my camera at on my phone. There it is. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're selling. Well, I guess you can't sell before you buy. So we're going to go ahead and skip that one. All right. So that one didn't happen. So you start off buying. You buy at the low, then you wait for the high, then you sell, and then you go again and you buy, and then you sell. Wow, my handwriting's so good. And it just keeps on going like that into infinity. The problem is that you don't know when it's the top or when it's the bottom. So you just kind of got to throw spaghetti at the wall and hope something sticks. But anyways, that's my my technical analysis. And Jay, I've warmed them up for you, bud. So why don't you go ahead and slam this ball on home and send all runners to the home plate.
Hey, just real quick, Jay, just real quick. All right, quick announcement. We had 1,000 subscribers. We don't anymore.
Oh, really? Oh, that's funny as shit.
No, I'm totally kidding.
Oh, okay.
Well, no. Josh is right. We had 1,000 subscribers. Now we have 1.02 thousand subscribers. So we didn't lose. We actually gained. Hey, Will, it's funny. You mentioned that you're the Dollar General technical analyst. Did you guys know? I think it was the Dollar Tree. I think the Dollar Tree is closing up shop across America. They're done.
Oh, fucking inflation, bro.
It's either the Dollar Tree 99-cent store. It was one of those value stores, bro. They're like they're closing up shop precisely because of what's been happening with inflation. There's like, oh, we can't really call ourselves a Dollar Tree anymore. Nobody's coming to us because we're charging $2 per item.
Yep. Fucking Jay Powell, man. Jay Powell killed the Dollar Tree.
Oh man, Jay Powell wrecked the Dollar Tree. I wouldn't put it on Jay Powell, though. He's not the one out here printing money, man.
No, but he's the figurehead. So they always need a puppet boy to take the fall for all the decisions and all the crazy stuff happening. So I'm gonna blame Jay Powell just because I'm a peanut brain and that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, and we got Large. Also, smash that like button, subscribe, leave a comment on the chat, Degenerates. He's absolutely right. Smash that like button and like that smash button. Oh, we've got Tam Tam as well, our favorite cheerleader. Aloha, Tam Tam. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Oh, and there's some Marines in the chat as well, is what Dre Sims is saying. All right, that's enough chat. Enough chats. Time for TA, boys. Jay, take it away.
Yeah, for sure, my friend. So let me go ahead and pull up my Bitcoin chart here. Give me 1 second. Getting the green light from Mrs. Producer, and then there we go. Wonderful. So, as always, you know that I like to start my technical analysis giving the folks a very macro perspective, right? A 10,000 foot view from very high up in the air. So, we are here on the weekly chart for Bitcoin. And I know that a lot of folks might be a bit overwhelmed. You might be panicking because what's going on in the market the last few days. Bitcoin took a nosedive in price. And here's the thing. We didn't even get a lower low for Bitcoin, right? The low that Bitcoin made over the last few days, that was still a higher low. But, I spoke about this in the chat yesterday during the emergency meeting. When the market spends a considerable amount of time in this sideways consolidation pattern, it's almost one of those things that people just can't stand, right? I would go so much to say that people can't stand sideways movement more than they can't stand the bear market, right? More often than not, you'll see people capitulating during these sideways movements than they would actually do so during a bear market, right? And so I think that's exactly what happened over the last few days. A lot of people, Bitcoin twitched like 2 to 3%. It wasn't even more than 5%. I think the Bitcoin corrected, and the alts just completely took a shit on everybody, man. And I'm talking about alts that we've been watching that are good, corrected anywhere between like 20 to 30, some of them like 40, 50%. And then new altcoins, right, that were released over the past few months, a lot of them made a new low. And so a lot of you folks might be panicking because of what's going on, but that's precisely the reason why I want to give you guys this overall macro view. If you look here on the weekly chart, you're going to notice that on a much bigger perspective, Bitcoin is still flying so high above its 20-week moving average. You could see that it's still riding the top of those Bollinger Bands pretty damn closely, right? Now, if I go over here and actually toggle this, right, let's go ahead and switch from our 20-week moving average to a 10-week moving average. You'll notice that the weekly close, the wick during last week, right? Where did it touch? It touched and found support right at that 10-week moving average. Now, if you've been watching us for a while, you'll know that the 10 moving average, whether that's your daily or weekly or monthly, that is your most sensitive moving average, right? And what you've noticed is that Bitcoin has not had a weekly close below that 10-week moving average. I think as far back as, let's see, the last time we had a close below the 10-week moving average was right here, September of last year. So up until that time, once we broke above that 10-week moving average, we have been going strong, riding the top and opening up the top of those Bollinger Bands. And so what do I always say? I say that unless the 10-week moving average, or unless the 10 moving average breaks, right? In this case, the 10-week moving average, then there's absolutely no reason for you to panic, right? Because if the bears cannot even push us below one of the most sensitive moving averages, then they don't have a prayer. And so that's one of the primary reasons why I wanted to showcase this particular chart on a weekly basis, because Bitcoin, for the most part, is still going pretty damn strong, right? Now, there's a few other things on the weekly here that I wanted to show you guys, right? And that is, if we go back to the, let's see here, I'm going to go back and toggle the 20-week moving average. What you'll notice is we are sitting so far above it, right? The 20-week moving average is sitting right now at 53,699, which means that even though your altcoins are bleeding pretty harshly against Bitcoin because of this last dip, what you'll know is that as long as Bitcoin stays above the 20-week moving average, then the altcoins are going to stay relatively strong, right? You're not going to expect a significant drop in the altcoin market the same way that you would expect it if Bitcoin was bleeding and closing below the 20-week moving average, right? So you could take some solace in that, right? That the bleeding that we've had from the altcoins, you're not going to get much more severe than that, right? Unless Bitcoin just really decides to shit the bed and start closing below $60,000, right? And so now we always have to give the bears their due, right? And if you notice this last weekly candle here, now it's not a super big engulfing candle, but you notice that it did basically take out several weeks of positive price action during that weekly close, right? And so if Bitcoin were to break down the $60,000 level, then you can certainly expect much more downside price action to occur. However, you know, if you've been watching the technical analysis over the past few months, you know that my thesis for really the entirety of you know, since 2024 started, I said that, look, the bears had a chance of pushing Bitcoin down below $60,000. They could not achieve it. And I still maintain that thesis, right? Even during last week's severe negative price action, the bears still could not push Bitcoin below $60,000. However, as always, we have to give the bears their due. So during this little TA segment, I'm always going to give you both the bearish and the bullish price predictions for Bitcoin over the next week. So we are currently, what are we on right now? So we are currently on day number 26 of the 60-day cycle, which means we are less than a week away from the Bitcoin halving, which, you know, personally, this is just a personal opinion. I think that what happened over the last week was the final attempt of the bears to really get people to capitulate. Now, they were successful to a degree, right? Because a lot of, like, the alts really bled against Bitcoin. However, they were not successful in their primary goal. And I think that that was to push Bitcoin down below $60,000. Like I said earlier, we made a higher low on that wick, which was the low for this candle was 61,308. And so if they're going to try to make another rally, and if there was a time that you needed to pay strict attention to what's going on in the markets, that would be next week, right? Because next week is literally the last week before the halving occurs. If we were to take our time tool here, right, a lot of analysts put the halving around either 420 or 421. So that would mean that the halving occurs this next Saturday, or that Sunday, the following Sunday. And so if the bears are going to have another chance, they're going to make another rally at trying to push price below $60,000, that's most likely going to happen over the next few days, right? Sometime next week. So keep a very close eye out. So what are those targets that we are looking out for? Well, first and foremost, the bears have to push us down below our last cycle low here, right? On day 57 of our last 60-day cycle low, that was $60,760. If the bears manage to push price down below $60,700, then you can make a very strong argument that we are going to experience much more downside price action. Why? Well, if you look below that $60,000 area, there's not really a lot of significant support, right? The next chunk of considerable price action where price spent some time consolidating is this area here between $53,000 and $50,000, give or take some change, right? So if the bears manage to crack $60,000, then yes, you could certainly make a very strong argument that price could see much, much lower levels. However, we do have some significant support in between 60,000 and this next area of price action. If we toggle on our moving averages, right, you'll notice that the 111-day moving average is right there at $55,000. Now, historically speaking, during a bull market, once price has reclaimed the 111 DMA, price tends to use it as very strong support. If you go and look back at the entirety of this bull market, you notice that once price reclaimed the 111 moving average, it used it as support here once, twice, before losing it during the macro wave 2. And it would make sense that you would lose to 111 during the wave 2 because we know that wave 2s usually are steeper corrections. So at this point in the market, it didn't surprise anybody at all that Bitcoin lost to 111 for a short period of time before once again reclaiming it when the wave 3 started and using it one more time here again as support. So what can we expect? Because we know that we are still in the middle of the macro wave 3, that means that if the bears did manage to push price down below 60,000, then yes, you are potentially going to see that 111-day moving average once again serve as support. So that is sitting at 55,000. That is also a psychological number, right? 55, it's a whole number. So people are going to want to trade whole numbers, right? It's a psychological level of support. Also, another important thing to consider is that when we take a fib extension tool, take it from the very top of our all-time high, current all-time high, right? You notice that the 1382 fib level is sitting at 54,817. So very close to that 111-day moving average. So that 1382 extension is also going to serve as strong support. All right, so you have some confluence of variables pointing at that $55,000 level that it wouldn't be unreasonable to assume that if the bears push price down past 60,000, that is your next major area of support that you should consider. So I would set some orders just above that $55,000 level if you were on the more bearish side and think that the bears are going to take over the market one more time before the halving. Okay. So that's for the bearish scenario for Bitcoin. The bullish scenario is actually pretty easy. Okay. The bullish scenario for Bitcoin, I'm actually going to go over and go to the 4-hour chart, right? A bit more degenerate time frames so that you could see this much more closely. Okay. So if I take our drawing tool here, what you'll notice is that 4-hour bullish scenario, this is, so if you guys remember a few weeks back, right, and I've mentioned this a few times over the last few streams, and if you were in the Telegrams, you'd notice because you would hopped on our emergency meetings, is that I said that if price managed to take this last cycle high over here, right, which we did, we have that day 19 cycle high. I said that this pattern turns from a corrective structure into an impulsive structure, right? You could see it fairly easily here in the lower time frames, right? But what you have is a 1. No, sorry, that is corrective. There we go. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? This is what you would call a leading diagonal. A leading diagonal that starts the next leg of that wave 3. And so once that cycle high was taken on that day 19 high, this turned from a corrective to an impulse structure, right? Now, obviously, price did break down. However, like I mentioned earlier, unless the bears manage to take our last cycle low, this structure remains fairly intact. And so for the bulls, the only thing that you need to focus on, 2 things. Number 1, holding that last cycle low at 60,700. That's number 1. And number 2, reclaiming, so basically making a new high. Okay, if we take this current high of 70, let me see what that high exact is, 72,372. If we reclaim that cycle high and make a new high, we are going for higher prices. So those are really the only 2 things that the bulls need to consider: holding 60,700 and making a new cycle high. If we make a new cycle high, we go for higher prices all the way up until day 50 of our current 60-day cycle. Okay, so those are the only 2 things that you need to focus on. Finally, here's another nugget for the bulls. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch back to our daily chart here. And I'm going to add the RSI. Here we go. I mentioned this earlier in the chat before we went live. But what you see here on price is a higher low, right? Higher low on price. But then when you take a look at our RSI on the daily, what we have is a lower low on our momentum indicator, right? When you have a higher low on price and a lower low on your momentum indicator, this is what analysts would refer to as a hidden bullish divergence, which means that if this pattern holds, that means we go higher prices, right? Because that means momentum is shifting to the upside. Okay, so there's that one other little thing that I wanted you guys to take note of, because we have hidden bullish divergence on the daily chart, and when this occurs on a larger time frame, that is something that you need to pay attention to, because these things happen much rarer and much less infrequently on larger time frames than they do on smaller time frames, right? And so when this occurs on something like the daily or the weekly, which is even rarer, it's something to pay attention to. Okay, so that's basically it that I wanted to showcase for you guys on today's TA. Next week is a very important time for you folks to pay attention in the market, because it is the week before the halving. And like I mentioned in the beginning of this analysis, I maintain my thesis that we are not going to get anything below $60,000. And I remember when I said this about $35,000, I said we don't see $35,000 again for Bitcoin until the very next bear market. Well, I'm going to say it again here, right? The 20-week moving average is currently sitting at $55,000. I don't think we see anything below. We don't see any weekly closes below $55,000 until the next bear market. Okay, we might get a wick there. We're not going to get it close. I don't think we're going to get any closes below $55,000 until the next bear market, right? So that's all that I have for TA for you folks today. Josh, Will, Nate, if you guys had anything you wanted to add, please do so.
Yeah, just a quick comment real quick. I'm actually cheering for the Bears in this scenario. I really am. I'm cheering for the Bears. Not because I'm a bear. That's not the reason why at all. But it's for the simple fact of the 4-year macro market. You know,
yeah.
Bitcoin's macro strength has been through the roof. And when Bitcoin rolled over down to 61K here very recently, it pulled a lot of that macro strength down. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, especially if you're going to see hidden bearish divergence as blatantly as you see it right there.
Bullish, Josh.
Yeah, I'm
bullish.
sorry. Yeah, for sure. Hidden bullish, my bad. Yeah, I was thinking bears because, you know, bears and all that crap. But anyway, especially with the hidden bullish divergence right there, I'm hoping for one last solid sell-off. I'm hoping it can come down and touch that 111-day mark, for the simple fact of this, you know. If you guys have ever been in a gym, ever been in a weight room, and you guys are, let's say you're doing bench press. All right, bench press is a very popular lift. All right, let's say you're working 6 reps. All right, you get that 6th rep, right? When you get to that 5 or that 6 rep mark, if you've ever held the bar up, you're going to understand, if the longer you hold it, the easier it's going to fall down. So what I'm hoping that we get is another, you know, plunge downward to get even more strength taken off the board. So that way, once that bullish divergence does kick in, once that hidden bullish divergence does kick in, then there's more strength behind it to get that next rep up, and it can punch even higher. And it will, you know, the more strength that can come down, the better the 4-year right translated normal macro market will be. Because if strength was continuing to blow through the roof, then we could be looking at a different scenario. So I would much rather have a scenario that we've seen before, a market that we have seen before, that we have experience in, that we can refer back to, as opposed to a break in the armor, a break in the chain of events, and you know, getting into uncharted territory at that point. I don't want to get into uncharted territory. What I want is what I know and what I understand. I want that pattern to continue. So that's why I'm cheering for the Bears. So
that's it. That makes it. And that sound it. Shout out to Brendan of the DGen Roundtable too. He sent us in some super chats as well. I am so used to blood that this doesn't faze me, as well as a much needed correction makes me excited. So I believe that he's on the same thread of thought as you there, Josh, from what I understand. I personally, I don't know, numbers are gonna do some things or whatever, and then it'll do some more things or whatever. Too much thinking. All information leads to two decisions: buy or hold. So
Yeah.
that's what I think. So if I just
Or
eliminate
sell.
the other or sell, excuse me, yeah, buy or sell. Shit. Buying and holding is the same decision. Selling is the other one. So if you can just eliminate one of them, then it's like, hey, that's the peanut brain way. But I agree. I think that it's nice for it to continue to do the predictable stuff that it's been doing this whole time. Nate, do you have anything for this?
Well, here's the thing, right? I think we can all agree here with Josh that it might piss a lot of people off, but I'm also kind of rooting for the Bears. I want price to come and retest that 111 moving average, because that means we just get more time to buy good assets. Look, I'm not going to lie to you guys, right? I'm very forward and honest when I make buys to our Telegram chat, right? Like literally a few days ago, I said, look, I couldn't sleep a few days ago. I went on my computer. Gwei was really low, so gas was really low, and I went shopping. I said I topped up my bags on Pixel, on a few AI plays that I was watching, so Fetch and Palm AI, and then Shrapnel, right? And then a few days later, the market takes a complete dump, and we get new lows on Pixel, and Shrapnel held up pretty well, right? Shrapnel did not go too far below 20 cents, but Pixels made a new low. Palm corrected to, I think, almost to the 786, and I wasn't expecting it to, because that one was also holding up really well. And Fetch, which was also holding up really well, broke down below the $2 area and I think went to 170. So I got fucked because I made my trades early, right? And so, but I'm not over here crying, right? There are some things that you're going to win and some trades you're going to lose. But I didn't panic sell, because regardless of, so I missed like 20, 30% more coins. All right, that sucks. But we are still so early in the market, and some of these tokens and coins in particular are still in their early stages, that it doesn't really matter, if you miss 20 or 30%, because at the very end of the bull market, the green candles cures all, right? And we're in so early that it's almost not going to matter. Yeah, I might miss a few X's here and there, but am I really going to fucking cry about a few X's when I'm up like several $100,000 to millions of dollars, right? Like, I'm not going to fucking complain. But you know what I am going to do is that if we do experience a bit more sideways action in Bitcoin, or like Josh said, we get a move down to that 111-day moving average, then I've got capital. I've got capital coming in. You guys will remember this. I was telling the chat, I was like, look, I just spent the last few months. I was like, look, I think my bags are good. So I spent the last few months literally topping up my emergency reserves. And I was like, guys, we just got more discounts. I'm thinking about just draining the extra that I put in my emergency reserves to put into the market because that's how good the discounts are. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So if we spend a few more weeks consolidating sideways, even after post-halving, I'm going to be happy because I'm going to be able to buy these better prices. And you best believe I'm going to be scooping up more of these discounts. So go ahead, Josh.
You didn't even take an L, man. I mean, there's no way you could have anticipated that. And if you're still buying right now, everybody's still buying right now. We're not in a period of time right now where if you buy, you're taking an L because of prices or anything like that. Like we haven't topped and we're not going downwards. That's not where we are. We're mid-cycle right now, and we anticipate price going up. That's what we anticipate. So, everything is all relative. Sure, if you look at it from, if somebody randomly buys something, today and 3 days from now it drops, 40, 50%, in the short term, yeah, that can seem like an L. But in the long term, I mean, everything's relative, man. So when you think of the long term, which hopefully that's what everyone's thinking about is the long term, then yeah, I mean, it's just topping off. So
something to understand.
Go ahead, Nate. I'm gonna shut up for a second here. Let you talk, bro.
Something to understand is that right now it's feeling a lot like the bottom of the bear again, and it's really nice because you know, when you're in the bull mindset, you kind of got to be a sniper. You really got to look at, you know, what's cheap at the time. This one's too expensive. Don't put more money into that one, right? But this one over here is kind of like lagging a little bit. Cool. I'll put some more into that one. So you got to be really careful with how you're putting trades in, right? But then also it's like, oh, there's a brand new project here, new coin there. And then you got to watch things, right? However, the nice thing about what's happening right now is this is sort of like a run, kind of like how the bear market is, where everything is cheap right now. Everything is pulling back. Just put money in, like shotgun scatter shot that shit. Throw your money around. That's what I say.
And here's the thing, right? I was telling this to our chat earlier this week because we have some folks who are still a bit green behind the ears when it comes to investing. So you can't really blame them if experiencing this kind of volatility sends them in quite of a panic, right? But I always tell folks, look, if you've been investing for even if you've just been investing for a few months, you look at the overall, even if you're doing the thing that we tell people not to do on a regular basis, which is look at the dollar valuation of your portfolio. What you'll notice is even though prices corrected, what I want you to focus on is the absolute value of your portfolio still at a higher low. And for most of us, unless you've been really good at buying tops and selling bottoms, then overall, the dollar valuation of your portfolio should still be at a higher low, especially if you've been buying since the bottom of the bear market. If you got into this market at the very middle of 2022 to like late December, you were buying the lows for almost everything, for almost every single good asset, for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for Solana. I know that's going to piss a lot of people off. Right? But you were buying the bottom, Phantom. You were buying the bottoms of a lot of these good assets. And so even though we corrected, your overall dollar valuation of the entire portfolio is still a higher low. So don't get too down on yourself, right? Because here's the thing. If you're the kind of person who gets flushed out at this point in the game, I'm telling you, you're falling you're activating the trap card and you're falling for the trap. Because is it unreasonable to assume, guys? I want to ask this of the panel. I want to ask this of the chat. Is it unreasonable to assume that this most recent flush happened a week before the halving? Like, are these guys fooling anybody? Right? We know exactly what's going to happen post halving when we get that supply shock. We know that based on the on-chain data, there's not a lot of Bitcoin left on exchanges. There's a reason why a lot of big institutions are going directly to the miners. They're buying OTC because they can't buy off of exchanges anymore. There's not a lot left. So is it surprising to me that they're trying to flush these people out? No, because that means people are dumping more of their Bitcoin on exchanges for these people to scoop up. You guys have been paying attention to the streams. We've been going over how much Bitcoin BlackRock has accumulated in the span of less than 1 quarter. 1 quarter. And they've overtaken the bags of MicroStrategy, who have been accumulating Bitcoin for over 3 years now. The only other people who have more Bitcoin than BlackRock, I believe, is Grayscale. But please correct me if I'm wrong. And so, like, it's very obvious what these people want to do. They want to flush people out one last time so that they can come in, scoop these assets up at a cheap price. And yes, $60,000 Bitcoin is cheap relative to the $240,000 potential at the very end of this bull market. That's what they're trying to do. They want to push the little guy out of the way because they know that they have to get some kind of control in this market. Otherwise, it's going to run against them. Okay, so don't fall for it. It's not a surprise that this happens a week before the halving, guys. It's not. So can I get your thoughts on that, fellas?
Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. I haven't looked too much into that, but I love what you're talking about there, because one thing that you do need to recognize about these Bitcoin miners is that supply shock of them getting halved, right? Half the amount of money originally that they were making that the previous 4 years. That's a big deal to them. So they are going to try and figure out a way to try and save as much of that money as absolutely possible, you know? So well said, Jay.
Yeah, I think it's like 900 Bitcoin a day are being mined right now, and that's very shortly going to drop down to 450 a day. And if I remember correctly, and this is from several months ago when I was talking to Cyber Steve, who we interviewed on this podcast a while back, he was saying that like all the ETFs and all the large like big fellas, they're buying about 11,000 worth of Bitcoin a day, and there's 900 a day being printed. So like you were saying, Jay, like a lot of the supply on the exchanges is drying up. A lot of the a lot of the a lot of these guys, they're buying OTC from the miners and everything. And so this is going to be very interesting post having what happens. And I'm going to be very curious to see both how the real Bitcoin does as well as the truly real Bitcoin does, which, as you guys all know, is the PWBTC that is over on Pulse Chain, the copied wrapped Bitcoin that is even more rare than regular Bitcoin. Now, I'm not shilling bags, but it is fun to see. It is fun to see all sorts of cool little things popping up all over the place. I'm going to do another quick round of shout outs if you guys don't mind. Does anyone have any further thoughts on this before I do community shout outs and we transition into our first topic, our first news article?
One last thing, Will.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's not just these big institutions, right? I'm sure you guys have heard about the guy. He's called Mr. 100. You guys heard about him? Yeah, Mr. 100. He's buying 100 Bitcoin every single day. And I actually would go so far as to say that Mr. 100 is that an accurate description of him. I think he buys an average of 100 Bitcoin per day, but there are some times where he's buying 200, 300, 400 Bitcoin every single day, multiple times a day.
Huh.
Okay. Okay. So, like, come on, man. Like, these people are not selling their Bitcoin. Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick, Will, before we transition, I just wanted to make a comment also. I mean, it's not hard to take the current economic situation that's going on across the world into account also, especially when I've said this before, maybe it's been on this channel, maybe it's been when I was a guest on another show, but this is the earliest time in Bitcoin's existence that miners have been able to sell Bitcoin at a profit prior to the halving. And when you take into account the inflation rate and how inflation has grown tremendously over the last 2 to 3 years, it's not difficult to understand or to conceive in your head that miners might be saying, okay, here's the situation. In less than a month, the exact efforts that we're putting in, we're going to receive half of that, because that's what happens in the halving. It's a simple supply and demand situation. The demand is going to continue to grow and the supply is going to be cut in half. That's just what happens. So maybe they're front running the opportunity to make a couple extra bucks. So it's very feasible to understand why, when you get into this situation, especially when you think of geopolitical, financial, economic, all the stuff that we have going on, the wars that are going on across the world, Iran and Israel's popping off now. People are looking to hold a little bit of green. So it's understandable that right now, especially while miners have been able to take profits earlier than they've ever been able to do in a cycle before, they might go ahead and take that opportunity. So, but lo and behold, whatever the case may be, I'm still cheering for the Bears in this scenario. I'd love to see a little bit more pullback, but it's not hard to see that.
And one last thing before we shout out the chat, Will, because Josh mentioned the miners. If you folks remember last week, we spoke specifically about the miners. The miners that are selling off, according to the on-chain data, they're like the small offshore miners, guys. Right? At the very least, the article that we looked at last week, the 2 biggest mining companies in the world, on-chain data says they're holding on to their Bitcoin. Right? Because it's like, if you know that there's going to be a severe supply shock post-halving, and that this could potentially go up to $100,000 to $120,000 by the end of the year, why the hell would you be selling? Right? Yes, I understand that you got to pay your bills and shit like that, but come on, bro. Like, so even the miners, like, so the stuff that you were heard earlier in the year about, like, the miner, like, people are scared that the miners are going to offload a ton of their Bitcoin. Well, that's why you take a look at the on-chain data, right? And the on-chain data says biggest miners in the world, they're holding. So there's that. Go ahead, Will.
All righty, ladies and germs, we're going to go ahead and transition on over into shouting out the chats. So Ray's trying to slip me up here, but I got a special trick up my sleeve for when this happens. So Ray says Jay is Monica Lewinsky when it comes to TA, and Josh is greedy. LOL. So excellent chat from Mr. Ray. That's what I say whenever I see that word appear on the internet. So nice try. Can't catch me slipping. Next up, we got Kai saying, what did you guys think about Ben Bitboy's new podcast or new Pulse Chain podcast sponsored by Liquid Loans? I know nothing about it. I've not seen it. I'm not I don't know much about BitBoy. I do know that Liquid Loans is a nifty protocol that has made me some money and that I have used and also lost some money. So it's a cool system, and I don't know anything about it. Have you guys watched BitBoy's podcast or anything like that? I have not.
Brand new, man. Brand new, as far as I know.
Well, yeah, no clue. I do know that Ben has a relatively large audience, so I'm happy to hear that he is reaching out to folks and letting them know about Pulse Chain and things. So excellent work. Thank you, Ben. Shout out to Ben from the BitBoy channel or whatever his new brand is now. Next up, we got Crypto Bigfoot. Keep it up, guys. You betcha, sir. We will most definitely keep it up for sure. Crypto Sloth next. Crypto Sloth in the house. Yo, yo, yo. What is up, Crypto Sloth? It's good to see you, my friend. Good to see you indeed. And then after that, Fast Abdul is requesting that we tell him our secrets. Mr. Fast Abdul, if we told you our secrets, then they wouldn't be secrets anymore, would they? So we're just gonna have to kind of keep them all under wraps and everything. I'll give you guys a little bit of alpha though. I will give you a little bit of alpha. Pretty soon on 420, the Bitcoin's gonna go halvening, and so you guys can go ahead and spark up your dubs and slam your heroin and I don't know, go find a methamphetamine dealer near you and go have fun and go crazy or whatever the heck. I don't recommend doing any of those things. That's a terrible idea. But you know, folks are gonna do what folks are gonna do on 420.
I can give another little secret.
Oh yeah?
Just a little one. Yeah. Join the Telegram while you can.
Ooh. Yes.
A little bit of secret there.
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a secret.
Yo, okay, so you know what happened, right? During the Sully launch? Man, I'll tell you what.
Man.
You want some alpha? Oh my gosh. All right, so check this, guys.
Speaking of gas fees.
Right. Oh, that was absolutely ridiculous. At one point I had $500,000 in gas fees.
Well, we were paying Ethereum prices on Pulse Chain.
That was wild. Absolutely wild. But check this out, guys. This is how awesome our Telegram is. So first off, we were helping everybody, try and get in. There was a lot of like extra things you had to do and able to buy kitten, right, and all that, or kitty. However, Jay, it was funny because it dropped as Jay was doing an emergency stream, basically talking about what we were talking about here today, right? And you were getting it there first, but then Kitty dropped, and so we started kind of helping people out in that chat, right? But after Jay, after you left that chat, we stayed on for another 3 hours, and I had my screen up there, and I was showing people on your favorite 1 minute chart, and I was showing people how it is, like how I trade meme coins, basically like brand new launches and stuff on Solana and all that. And I was showing people what I was expecting here and there, like live in action. I was literally making DCAs because I told people, hey, I'm going to put $250 into this, and I put $100 in right away. And that was like basically at the top. So it's like, whatever. Right. But then I told them as it's going down, and I hit specific spots that I was showing people exactly where and why I wanted to start seeing this, watching the buys and all that. But then, yeah, live right there in the Telegram, I was making my DCAs. So now that I think about it, we probably should have recorded that, but or maybe not. But no, that is some alpha though, right? Like that's the type of thing that we do in our Telegram chat. So if you're not in there, I would suggest getting in, because there was a lot of really important stuff. And not only that, but Twinkie was in there just dropping a ton of alpha as well. So yeah, that was a good time.
And it is free for now. So make sure you guys get it while it's free. I mean, if you want to get it when it's a paid group, that's perfectly fine too. I'm more than happy to take your guys' money as like a proof of what is that concept where signals must be costly in order to be trusted. We don't want a whole bunch of like spam people joining the Telegram, and we don't want a whole bunch of like, you know, the folks that go around like shilling a whole bunch of shit. Like, we recognize that there's a scaling problem that comes with running a chat as well, and the larger that the chat gets, the more people that join, the higher the signal to noise ratio, or excuse me, the lower the signal to noise ratio often goes, as we've noticed in other Telegram chats. So our mechanism for sort of kind of filtering out the lower end of the telephone pole is to put a small price on it. It's not going to be anything crazy, but anyways, there's more information on that to come as we make and implement changes. But for now, the Telegram is free, so everyone who's in the Telegram will be grandfathered. And yeah, so click on this. Click on this little QR code that's down there. Type in bit.ly/degenerate_roundtable. Join that Telegram. You can also click the link in the description below. There's many ways to get in there. And that being said, I'm going to go ahead and continue on with these.
One last thing.
Yeah, what's up?
For all of you guys in chat right now watching us, getting all this alpha here, up to you. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. Cheers, mates. Bottoms up.
Woo!
I'll drink to that. Excelente. So moving right along into our chat acknowledgements. Next up, we got Russ. Good to see you, D-Gens. It's good to see you too, good sir. Nice to have you along. Then we got Brissology and OG Hexakin. Miners have to pay their bills. Quote, do you really think that they are living month to month and have absolutely no cash reserves?
Bro, this is a great comment by Briz, right?
Yeah.
Because this is a common misconception by a lot. Like, yes, they do have to pay their bills, but you realize that the people who are probably offloading to a significant degree are like the tiny miners. When you consider that a lot of these bigger mining companies are like multi-million-dollar industries, these guys aren't stupid, which means that they're probably going to have enough of cash reserves in order to cover their bills, right? Because like otherwise you wouldn't become a multi-million-dollar company if you didn't know how to keep a good budget, right? It's like, why would you sell your best performing asset and not have any cash on hand to pay like your daily costs of living, right? It just doesn't make sense. So that's a good comment by Briz right there, bro.
Yes, it is. And I generally find that it's bad to assume what other people are doing, but like Jay was saying, like if they're a business, which most mining companies are, because it's exorbitantly expensive.
They're not like individual people like they were back in the day, right? Because of how expensive it's become.
Yeah. And so a lot of that will be like filtered out, you know, and that's there's just the unfortunate truth of the Bitcoin like growth and the hash rate and all that stuff is it just becomes more and more exorbitantly expensive for the little guy to come in and become a miner. So yeah, I'm willing to bet that that they are not just like living hand to mouth over there at the mining store.
Like, do you know any multi-million-dollar companies that just live hand to mouth, bro? That stay afloat for a long time? Well, I think the answer is obvious.
Yeah, and I mean you could also like draw an analogy. Like, let's say you owned a car dealership, okay, and you're used to purchasing vehicles wholesale for, let's say, $25,000 a pop. If you knew within 2 weeks those vehicles are now going to be $50,000 a pop because, you know, or that not even that, or that the amount that you are receiving each month is about to be cut in half, then you know, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm going to take a little bit off the top now, you know, cash in while prices are high. I've never been able to do it this early before. So let me go ahead and just take a little bit of profit, and then, you know, we'll readjust once the supply situation adjusts. So
absolutely. All right, and we've got one final comment here from Crypto Chronic in our so we've got like 22 live comments. So shout out to all you guys in the chats. I don't have time to quite read all of your guys' stuff because we got to hop into our articles in here, and we're already an hour 4 minutes in. So I'm just gonna finish off with this last starred comment. We got Crypto Chronic. What is poppin', D-Gen fam? Mr. Crypto Chronic, what is poppin' with you too, good sir? It's good to see you in here, and it's good to have all you guys. Whoever the heck is watching us right now, we super duper appreciate all of you wonderful degenerate bastards spending your time checking us out and seeing what we got to say. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and roll on into our first article. Our first article comes from, I guess I should share my screen. Let me pull up my backup over here. Share screen. DeFi 1inch introduces Web3 credit card. Okay, so it is telling me that I'm sharing on my computer and I can see it on my phone. So sweet. So we are live. So our first article is from CoinDesk. So CoinDesk writes a lot of, oh, fantastic. There's trains in the background. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, if you can hear the train. Let me roll my window up. So our first article is basically about, crypto debit cards in partnership with Mastercard and I don't know how you pronounce this, banks or something like that. That's a terrible brand.
Just banks.
Just banks.
Banks?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Yep. So I'm gonna give you guys. So if any of you guys are planning on starting a brand or starting a company, for the love of God, don't misspell it. Right? Like, make it simple, make it sticky, make it like easy for people to understand. Like like this is one of the things that Richard Hart talks about in SciVive is like, if you want people to remember your stuff, make it easy to spell, make it easy to listen to, make it easy to comprehend, and make it super sticky. If I were to hear like an advertisement for banks on the radio, then and I go and type in, banks like a normal person would, and not like this banks or whatever, then it would lead me all sorts of places. So just this, they probably have way more money than me. So actually, what the fuck do I know? Anyways, moving right along into this article, right? The basic gist of this article is that 1inch Web3 is, or 1inch, like the swapping platform, is partnering up with Mastercard to where people can buy crypto online and then they can withdraw at supported ATMs through like this super seamless fiat conversion system. So essentially, you guys can have debit cards and you guys can, I don't know if it's credit cards, but you can definitely have debit cards sponsored by Mastercard and also powered by 1inch. Like, they're combining their forces, and you guys will be able to essentially off-ramp your crypto using a credit card. And there's a couple other systems that do this as well. There's also Banks' Crypto Life being used by Ledger. And then there's a couple others. MetaMask is also partnered up with Mastercard as well. So you guys can go out there and basically, like, on the Ethereum chain, you guys can do this stuff. Now, I also I'm going to go ahead and let me see if I can switch the tabs that I'm doing and do the Blockbend one. Nope. Okay, share this tab instead. Let's see if that works. All right, sweet. So this is pulling up my Twitter right now. There's a company called Blockbend, and what they do is they allow people to, oh, dang it. This is not the tab I wanted. Excuse me. Let me pull up this other tab here. You guys are getting to see that we indeed do this live.
While you're doing that, Will, I couldn't find the tweet. So there was a really cool tweet. I think it was the one of the co-founders of 1inch. He posted it on his X page, where he actually had the Mastercard debit card on his phone connected to 1inch, and he was using it to pay for transactions during, I forgot the name of the conference. I'll find it and I'm gonna post it in our Telegram group. But he was doing it seamlessly. You know how, like, you have your credit cards and your debit cards on your phone to do the Apple Pay? Dude, he was doing it like that. Just like that, bro. Like, that's how cool it was, man.
Yeah. This is like, we live in a crazy cool world of technology, ladies and gentlemen. I did find it, Mrs. Producer, if you wouldn't mind. I don't know if it's showing up, but this is a post from Blockbend, and this is way long time ago. Like, this is back during like Christmas time frame. So starting December 25th, noon GMT, you will be able to bridge Pulse to Visa Mastercard privately with our crypto cards. A seamless blend of convenience, privacy, and community-driven utilities. So not only can you guys use Ethereum stuff to do your off-ramping and everything, but there's also options for basically buying Pulse Chain prepaid debit cards using Blockbend. So, like, this article goes around and it talks about the this cool new process, and like it's super cool, and it's coming up very soon in the near future. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I'm gonna go ahead and kick it on over to Josh or Nate, since Jay's given me a little bit of sauce. Nate, I can see that you are not muted, good sir. Why don't you go ahead and kick it off, my friend? Tell me what are your thoughts on all this?
I've been a proponent for credit cards, debit cards for quite a while now. I myself, I've got the Crypto.com card as well as the Gemini card, and here's the thing, right? So even before crypto, I was noticing that a lot of these credit cards always have this like cash back thing, right? And so you get yourself like a really good cash back, and you pay off your bills with it. Oftentimes bills generally are like sitting anywhere from like 1,500 to maybe like 3,000 or more per month that you're paying. So you could imagine if you had like a 5% cash back, how much money are you getting back just for paying your bills, right? And so I took that idea and I actually moved it over into the crypto world, where now I'm getting crypto back. Okay, I've been paying off just about all of my Ethereum fees and have made 0.7 of Ethereum based on my bills. Okay, that's nothing to sneeze at there, right? So when the more and more that I start thinking, okay, when I take profits into the bull market, right, and we start heading down into the bear, and I'm going to be living off of my profits, how am I going to be able to take the money that normal people would bring back over into fiat into the bank, right? How can I keep my crypto, and how can I live off of it, right? And the more and more I'm seeing these crypto vendors, sorry, not crypto vendors, but these vendors going into crypto, like say Mastercard or Visa or whatever, the more and more I start realizing, hey, this is how you live. Okay, almost everything is electronic anyways around the world, so we can just simply use these cards. It's really simple. And I mean, if there are any of these countries that it's like cash only, you can simply cash out a bunch and then head on over there. But the other neat thing about these cards that is a little bit different is that you can choose what denomination you're going to be using, right? And because like a stable is always pegged at $1, from around the world currency is always there, right? And then you simply convert it into whatever currency the country that you're in has. So this is going to be the way to live. I would consider it to be the best way to live in my mind. When I put fiat into crypto, I'm not pulling it back out. Those dollars that I've thrown onto the electronical magical space of cryptocurrencies is gone. It will forever be on the internet now. That's what I'm trying to achieve right now, and I feel like I will never need to actually pull out little dollars again, as long as there are means for me to be able to transact, right? And the other thing about that too is there's going to be a lot of people who have a kind of like a bearish mindset of like, oh, they're just going to ban this, ban that, and they're not going to allow anybody to be able to offboard or onboard anymore. Hey, here's the thing about the cryptocurrency space is that the technology is advancing very quickly. It's advancing so quickly that literally no country, no government is able to keep up with it. It's the reason why all the flooding is going on with like the SEC and all that. They're trying to slow it down because it's taken off and it's going way too fast. So to wrap everything up, even if they start banning all that and the FUD comes down heavy, it don't matter because the technology will be built by somebody else who is all about freedom. It's partially why I'm on Pulse Chain, right? Because everybody on Pulse Chain does want freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of movement. And that's like, we would build our own freaking cards, our own payment systems in general. So that's what I got to say on that.
First thing that comes to mind for me is just simply adoption, man. Adoption. Look at where we are now versus where we were. It's funny. I was watching UFC 300 last night. Right there, smack dab in the middle of the ring is VeChain. And to hear Bruce Buffer, before the main event mention, just a blockchain, regardless if you support it, if you like it, if you don't like it, but for a pay-per-view event to have a blockchain mentioned, or if you look around at all the NBA and different sports arenas around here that are sponsored by cryptocurrency, somewhat that's some way involved in cryptocurrency. It started with Bitcoin ATMs, and Will, I don't know if you remember this, but when we were down in Miami for the Cardano Summit, that little corner store that was like half a block away, the little rundown one that was like half a block away from Brendan's apartment that we stopped into. Sure enough, I mean, this sucker was run down, right? It was a rundown store, but what did it have in it? It had a Bitcoin ATM in it. And so,
and it had pinwheels.
It
I
did.
fucking love pinwheels.
It did. But you think of it started with Bitcoin ATMs, and then you see cryptocurrency sponsorships on different things. Then we got the ETF that's come around. We have more ETFs that could be coming around the corner. What could be coming up next? Mutual funds could be coming up next. So it's adoption of cryptocurrency into regular life, and that's what I think when I see is something like this. You take Gemini and you take Crypto.com. They've obviously been successful in what they're doing. If more companies and more partnerships are being created to offer a similar situation. So what's interesting also is I think that as we continue to go through adoption and as more and more things come up like this, more and more credit card offers, more and more ETFs, if mutual funds come around or whatever, I think it's going to add a new category into your due diligence and research is, can this be adoptable into mainstream? And as you're doing more and more due diligence into your coins and you have the checklist that you're going through, that might be another category that you might have to add to it. Is the adoptionability? Is that a word? Adoptability, I guess.
It is now.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just say adoptability. And is this something that you can buy into when it's starting to smolder before it turns into, a 5-alarm fire or something like that? So those are my thoughts. Jay, what you got, bud?
Well, it's funny when you mentioned about the mutual funds, because we were talking about this last Sunday episode, because Pantera Capital made it onto the news because they're having another they just released, I think earlier this year or late last year, their latest fund. So Pantera Capital, one of the OGs in the game, they have their own version of mutual funds, right? That invest in either new coins, right? And then the latest one that they released is a combination of a few of their older funds, where a portion of it goes into it's called their liquid token fund, which invests into a basket of some of the assets that they think are going to do well. They have a portion of that going to early VC stage capital funding, and then I forgot the other category, but it was something along those lines, right? So the type of funds that Josh is talking about, although there's nothing that's released on the traditional financial space, like the S&P 500, those types of crypto mutual funds already exist, right? You just got to know where to find them. So I just wanted to mention that because when you mentioned mutual funds, it popped into my head. In terms of this article, if you guys remember, a few months back, we were talking about the Visa partnership that MetaMask was engaging in precisely for this exact same thing, right? That they were doing a debit card specifically for MetaMask that people using the app could use to either offboard or onboard their crypto into fiat or fiat into crypto, right? And now you see Mastercard doing the exact same thing. I'm sure a lot of our audience are going to know exactly what 1inch is. They're one of the largest DEX aggregators available in DeFi, right? And so when you take into consideration 1inch partnering with one of the largest payment settlers in the entire fucking world, Mastercard, that's not a small, that's not something to turn your nose at, right? Visa is the largest by a wide margin, but Mastercard is, I think they're second or third. Okay, so they're not they're not too shabby either. And you also have to consider the fact that this is an actual real partnership, right? That's being implemented in several countries already. Unfortunately, not here in the United States. But this isn't, how when you see a lot of fake advertising of partnerships, you'll see maybe on a new project, they're like, yeah, we have a collaboration with Amazon. And then you look closer and they're like using Amazon Web Services. Okay, that's not a real fucking partnership, bro. You're not fooling anybody. But this is an actual partnership with Mastercard, right? That's being utilized in several different countries. And so I liked that we shared this article today because it gives you a very broad picture perspective of what's going on in the rest of the world, right? The rest of the world is trying as fast as they can to adopt this technology. So you might see a bit of negative price action on the chart, but when you're actually looking at where this technology is being adopted, what companies are engaging in this technology, it should give you a lot of hope for cryptocurrency as a whole, right? Visa, Mastercard partnering with some of the biggest DeFi apps that we have available to us today, that's not small news, right? And that's why we focus heavily on, you know, like the news and the fundamentals here on this channel in relation to the technicals, because if you're just focusing on what's going on in the charts, a lot of this stuff might go completely over your head. You might miss it, right? And so you might be super bearish because of the negative price action, but then you don't realize that people like the guys over at Mastercard are partnering with 1inch to create a debit card for people to onboard and offboard crypto and fiat. So like bullish as a whole for sure.
Hell yeah. I freaking love it.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I just can't wait for, like, you know, because so like we've already got, you know, Cash App. Cash App allows you to buy Bitcoin. We've got PayPal. PayPal allows you to buy Ethereum. Yeah, Venmo. You know, like there's so, like, it's just creeping. It's creeping and creeping and creeping. And next thing you know, there's going to be a one button solution for all of these problems that we are early enough that like we can enjoy the fruits of the price appreciation for getting in it while it was still a risky endeavor. So here's hoping that all the things that we're throwing our scratcher money at, you know, whether it's fucking Zen or whether it's like Titanx or whether it's Ethereum or whether it's Illuvium, you know, whatever these, or PDAI, fucking A, like the real DAI stablecoin, right? Or oh man, there's some silly things. Or, you know, like we were talking about Kitty earlier. Shout out to Almighty. We had him on stream for Whiskey Wednesday. He just launched his second token for the Monsters Inc. ecosystem. Like, that's just pretty cool, man. It's like, it's a fun world that we live in, right? There's all sorts of cool things popping off. There's all sorts of like utilitarian stuff popping off. Big shout out to Fast Abdul. He's in our chat. He's like one of the guys behind the 2 Fucks protocol. So that's going to be a cool, like, real life utility thing that's coming out. Like, there's meme coins, there's utility stuff, there's store of value, there's payment solutions, there's privacy stuff. You know,
the deep end stuff is taking off, right? That's the next big narrative that people are rallying behind.
Yep. You know, can we take a second here and just appreciate what Will has been talking about there? Everybody is getting so hot and bothered over blood in the streets, right? Over everything dropping and, oh no, my dollar amount is going down. Can people take a step back and just look at the world and the game we're playing right now and how much fun this is? Yeah. New technologies are popping off. We're finding our place in this new world, right? And it's like there's a lot of cool things going on. It's an adventure, guys. There's highs and lows during an adventure, but you need to at least identify that you're on a fun adventure. You're on a fun ride, right?
Yo, I do want to ask you guys, would you, so because something just popped into my head because we're talking about the debit cards, would you ever put a crypto debit card on your phone?
Maybe.
Because I'm thinking about the security implications, right? Nobody's getting
a burner.
No, nobody's getting their fucking hands on my hardware or on my hardware wallet, right? Like, nobody's getting their hands on my Trezor. Even if you did, good luck getting my fucking private, like my seed phrases or my private keys. There's no fucking way. Right. But if I have a crypto debit card on my phone, somebody put a gun to my head, tell me I need you to drain your MetaMask into your debit card. Like,
I mean, dude,
at a certain level,
I wouldn't. Your attack surface.
Jay, they shouldn't be touching. They should not be able to touch your private wallet, anyways. If there is a debit card or whatever that says you need to connect directly to your private wallet, hell no. I don't care if it's on your computer or if it's on your phone. The answer to that is no. Now, if it were like some sort of thing where I'm like, oh, from my private wallet to whatever application it is, I'd be okay with that. I'd be cool.
I would say, I mean, it could just be as simple as you make a condom wallet and then boom, like Bob's your uncle, and you just transfer shit into the condom wallet. Like, I would probably do it for the convenience. You know, I'm like, there is something to be said about security. And for those of you who would have questions about security, go read Stephen Bates' Securing Wallets, the 5 ways of successful DeFi security. Oh shoot, I totally butchered the name of that. But the book is Securing Wallets by Stephen Bates. Go check it out. It talks about the different levels of threats and the common attack vectors that people use to come after you for your cryptocurrency. Like, I don't know if anyone here in the audience has heard of, or anyone here on the panel has heard of what happened to Nerd Girl recently. But Nerd Girl, for those of you guys who don't know, for the folks at home who don't, I'll give you a quick synopsis. Nerd Girl she's a writer. she's a journalist, and she reviews technology stuff. So she reviews games, she reviews like blockchain, like tech and stuff, and she writes about it, right? So she's a journalist, and she got hired by some scummy ass motherfuckers who basically copied a video game, put some Trojan software in it, asked her to download it, paid her to write an article, and she did. And unfortunately, she happened to do it on a computer that had keylogged her seed phrases, and so like it was just it's basically a phishing attempt, right? They managed to get her to do something surreptitiously that allowed them access to her wallet, and then they drained it, bombed all her hex stakes, and all that stuff. So it's like these things do happen. It is very real, and you guys need to be vigilant on the mechanisms that you that you use. Like, I got this fucking shitty cheap ass little laptop here, right? I bought it like while I was on the road, and it's just my little traveling laptop, and I'll probably throw it away as soon as I'm bored of it or whatever. But in the meantime, it's like a decent little condom wallet, right? I can just go and fucking make a new Google Chrome profile, throw some money into it. If I really want to be crazy, then I can run my ETH through Tornado Cash and then send it somewhere. But like, I'm not terribly fond of Tornado Cash just because the law is out to get them. But like over on Pulse Chain, they have a thing that's similar to Tornado Cash, ZKZX, zero knowledge, zero expectations. I've used that before to send money anonymously to different wallets that I'm using, and get cash around all over the place. You guys can send chunks of Pulse Chain to all sorts of different wallets using ZKZX. And it's freaking cool. It's freaking cool. So like, there's tons of things that we can do, and this world is just ever growing, and it's getting faster and faster. And like, our ability to maintain, like, maybe not strict but secure principles of operation using hard wallets, using condom wallets, using vault wallets. Like, if you guys don't know what those things are, hop into our Telegram and ask some of the OGs in there, or tag one of us. Tag any of the admins in any of the questions that you guys have. If you guys have anything for us ever, by the way, in the Telegram, make sure that you tag us. Don't just like ask a question off into the random space, because odds are that it might get scrolled through. Our Telegram is so small right now that we should be able to address questions that are just kind of thrown out into the ether. But just as for the purpose of better question asking, make sure that you guys tag someone, tag one of the admins, tag one of the guys that you can see as an OG, tag a dev, tag a founder, ask your questions away.
You use the @ symbol, so @ them.
Yep, exactly. So like the point is to wrap it all back into what we're talking about. There's this cool new world of payment solutions, right? And it's only just going to get bigger. It's never going to get smaller. I know 0x Coast, they've been down for a while because of a whole bunch of stupid banking regulations and some stuff that they're working through. So fingers crossed that they'll be up in the near future. But 0x Coast, they were doing a little test feeder. They were asking the community, hey, would you guys like to see a debit card in the near future? And Coast is a fantastic on-ramp, off-ramp for the Pulse Chain. There's tons of these solutions all over the places. You guys just got to look around, be vigilant, and do your own research and find these things. And so when I say do your own research, what I mean isn't like, oh, go out and figure it out all yourselves. It's no, like, listen to a whole bunch of people that are talking to some stuff and learn these systems to the point where you know them well enough that you can like explain them to other people. Like, you can trust what we're saying, or you shouldn't trust what we're saying, but you can trust that we're giving you good information, because you can go out and you can verify a lot of this stuff, right? So what you guys need to do is you need to learn the things that we're teaching you about that sound cool, instead of just like fucking randomly aping into whatever protocols we speak of, or just randomly going and buying whatever coins there are in the market. You need to go and figure out, like, hey, is this stuff for me? Can I consider myself a subject matter expert? Have I put in my, probably not 10,000 hours, but have I put in like 5, 10, 15 hours of looking into this stuff before I just start like throwing real life money towards it? Right? Or before I, start giving my seed phrases to some random guy who says he'll help me, clear a stuck transaction on MetaMask, which is another thing that will help you out in our Telegram. So
yeah, bro, Dre did that the other day, man.
Yeah, shout out to Dre.
For days, days he couldn't figure out, and Dre helped him get unstuck, bro. So shout out to Dre, man. Like, he didn't have
big
to do
shout
that
out to Dre.
That was a lot of work.
Talking about how awesome our Telegram is again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How like a fantastic and awesome community matter. Shout out to Dre. He's in the chats right now. He's been chatting up this whole time, buying coins nobody talking about right now. Hell yeah, bro. Fucking buy at them coins. Dre Sims in the chat helped some dudes, like helped a gentleman in our Telegram, like clear up his stuck transaction. And for those of you guys who are curious, like the long and short of it is you use a nonce replacement. So you find out what you enable nonce tracking in your MetaMask, which allows you to like basically assign a number to every single transaction, and then you just overwrite the nonce that is the stuck one. So if you have a stuck transaction in MetaMask, you look at the nonce number, right? So you find out. So every time you do a transaction in MetaMask, it counts how many transactions you've done. You just take that number and you do a custom new transaction where you send yourself like 0 coins, or you send yourself 1 or 2 coins, or you send it to another one. You do any sort of transaction, and then you replace that nonce in your new transaction that's going to have a new gas fee and new everything. So that's how you guys, like, that's the long and short of how you do it. There's much better explainer videos out there, but that's just the general idea for anyone who ever gets a stuck transaction. Use nonce replacements. Holy smokes, we've gone a long ways for covering this one particular topic. I'm gonna toss it to you guys. Jay, it looks like you got something to say real quick about this topic conversation. Then we're gonna go into the Bitcoin, SUI, and Solana gaming handhelds once you are all finished.
No, I just to kind of put everything in a bow, right? You were saying that you have to be vigilant in the security as this technology evolves, right? Because yes, a lot of remember, as things get more convenient, you also increase the attack surface that you're exposed to, right? So if you get a debit card that you can use to offboard and onboard directly to your hot wallets, that increases your attack surface. So you have to be vigilant in keeping your security, because as the technology improves, guess what? Criminals are going to adapt to it.
Yep.
Right. So that's all I wanted to add on to that, man. Like you said, you have to be vigilant, and you made a very good point. If you're going to have a debit card on your phone, it should probably not be your main hot wallet. It should probably be a hot wallet that only has a few hundred, maybe $1,000 worth of funds that you could transfer in and out easy to that debit card. And then your other hot wallets that have a bigger amount of funds are at home on a laptop that doesn't make any other contact with anything else besides crypto, along with your hardware wallets, right? So that's all I wanted to say, man. As the technology evolves, you also have to, your security has to evolve. You have to be more vigilant, because your attack surface is going to get larger.
Absolutely, bro. And real quick before we hop into this this Bitcoin, SUI, and Solana gaming handhelds article, I want to give a quick shout out to my brother. I see in the starred chats here, we've got bungalows. Oh, excuse me, I'm going through puberty at 31 apparently. We got bungalows for bachelors saying, gotta get rich before needing to spend foreign dollars with traveling. Absolutely right. So this is my brother's channel, Bungalows for Bachelors. Big shout out to Sam, my younger brother. He runs a Telegram that is called BFB Success, where he teaches young men how to build houses and things and do all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat for that. And then up next, we got Chicago Brew, who says, does spending transactions tick for MetaMask also work for SafePal, you think? I was going to attempt the nonce trick in attempting to rid a pending on SafePal transaction. So I'm afraid that I'm not a SafePal wallet user, Mr. Chicago Brew. I would imagine that it probably functions very similar. Jay, you got something for this?
Yeah, it should function the exact same way, bro. But if you're unsure, get in the Telegram chat and tag Dre, and he can take you through the process, man.
Yep.
It's the easiest way. Like, you want to get your hands on somebody that's done this like a few dozen times, get in the Telegram, tag Dre, bro.
Yep. Absolutely. Alrighty, ladies and germs, we're gonna go ahead and transition on into our next article. Let me get my presentations all pulled up here.
This was a fun one, bro. This was fun when I read it. Oh, I love this one.
Yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick it on over to you, Jay, and let you go ahead and cover all this stuff. I have my sharing tab all shared aroonied, I believe. There we go. Look at that. Oh, I love having 2 screens. This is fantastic, even if it's just my phone. All right. So the quick synopsis is, and I'll kick it over to Jay. The quick synopsis is that Bitcoin, SUI, and Solana gaming handhelds. Here's how they stack up. BitBoy1 and the SUI Play 0x1 are coming to join the Solana Saga smartphone. And we're going to take a look at portable crypto gaming devices. So here's a little graphic for you guys. Jay, can you go ahead and explain to the folks at home what's going on here, brother?
Yeah, bro. So the reason why this and one in particular got me excited is because obviously you guys know that GameFi is one of the larger narratives that people are really expecting to take off during the bull market. And it seems like a lot of these Web2 gaming companies are starting to take notice, right? We have 3 different consoles here, handheld consoles that are potentially going to be released sometime later this year or sometime in 2025, right? 3 of these right here. You see the BitBoy Game Boy Game Boy inspired one. I thought that was pretty cool. When I first read it, I was like, no way. Did Ben Armstrong like partner up with these guys? And no, it's actually just called BitBoy. So this has, as far as I know, this has no relation with Ben Armstrong. So what this particular handle is going to be it's not only going to allow you it functions as a hardware wallet for Bitcoin. That's one thing that's cool. Talk about attack surface, right? Can you imagine carrying this handheld with you? Like, let's say like you're on the train and people are like, yo, I know what that is. That doubles as a hardware wallet for Bitcoin. I'm gonna rob this fool on the fucking train, bro. So be careful. Go ahead, Will.
I was just gonna, it's like would you carry around a tic-tac-toe set made out of fucking gold? You know?
Yeah.
Like you're just fucking asking for it.
So yes, even though that's pretty cool that it's going to double as a hardware wallet for your Bitcoin, probably not recommended that you're going to use this as like a gaming system that you take with you through like the subways of New York fucking city or the subway of London. Right, not recommended, because anybody that recognizes this as a like a secondary hardware wallet is going to try to fucking rob you, bro. Right? It's like you're gonna be. It's like if anybody that Antoine's probably gonna notice, bro. It's like if you walk down Martin Luther King Boulevard in Jersey City in the middle of the night, like wearing a Rolex, bro. You're just asking to get fucking held up. So don't do it, right? But aside from it doubling as a hardware wallet, it actually, so the one of the things that the article spoke about is that this is going to it's going to serve as like an emulator. So it's actually going to be able to play a lot of like the classic PS1 games. So you're going to be able to play those types of games on this particular handle as well, as obviously, and also all the things that they're going to be developing on I think maybe like Lightning Network or the Bitcoin Network, right? If they ever get along to it, right? You have a lot of Bitcoin maxis already throwing their arms, they're up in arms about the ordinals. Like imagine trying to build a video game on Bitcoin, right? It's like shit, man. Like good luck, but you have to be determined. It's a cool concept. Whether it's going to be successful, you have to be determined. But as far as I know, it is going to serve as an emulator, so you are going to be able to play like old school PS1 games on it. Now, I think the price tag is $500. Not so sure if it's serving as an emulator is going to justify a $500 price tag. Yes, it is also going to double as a hardware wallet for Bitcoin. But again, it's like, is it like, would you pay $500 for this? Like me personally, not really. Now, the second one is a lot more promising. The one that SUI is developing. If you guys take a look at the one that, so this is the powerhouse. Right. So if you compare, like, if you guys remember, right, when the PS3, the Xbox 360, and the GameCube came out, right, the Sony's PS3 was the powerhouse in terms of technology. This is going to be the powerhouse in terms of tech. So they compared SUI's handheld. This one looks like a Steam Deck, right? Or like for you guys who have the Nintendo Switch Lite, this looks like one of those things, right? And this is the one that's going to be very tech heavy. And it's going to be, it's going to be able to play a lot of the Web3 based games. Right now, I'm not sure if they're going to expand past games being developed on the SUI network. Right, I'm assuming that they're probably going to be able to do that because like a lot of Web3 games they're building on Avalanche, they're building on Immutable X, right? Like even some are building on Polygon. And so if you're isolated to one specific chain, I think you're going to be much less successful. So I'm assuming, right, that they're probably going to branch out and be able to play. They're going to be able to go cross-platform, right? So you're going to be able to play games that are on Avalanche, games on Immutable, games on Polygon, games on Ethereum. But I think this is the one to watch out for, right? So if you're actually going to think about dropping money into one of these very expensive handhelds, it's probably this one, right? The one being developed by SUI. The last one is the Solana Saga. I think this one's their version 2, right? And so everybody already knows about the first Saga, right? So Solana released the Saga version 1. It was at like $1,000 price point. Nobody really bought it until they realized that the Sagas were holding bonk, and everybody went after it because they wanted to claim the bonk that was on the phone, right? And we all know like what bonk did during like the tail end of last year, right? That thing skyrocketed up in price. And so obviously Solana is releasing the Saga version 2, and this one is obviously also going to be able to have the utility of being able to play some of these Web3 blockchain-based games that are going to be released on the App Store, right?
Yep.
What the Saga 2 is going to have an advantage over these other ones, right, is they're going to have the Google Play Store native to that phone, right? And so if you can download some of these games from the Google Play Store, right, we know that Illuvium is going to have mobile version games of some of their flagship franchises. Illuvium in particular, right? I think Illuvium Arena, a version of that is going to be on the Play Store, right, and on the Apple iStore. And so Saga version 2 has the advantage of having that native Google Play Store for direct access to all of those different blockchain games that are going to be released on the Google Store and then on the App Store also. And so I think really out of the three, I'm more excited to see what the Saga 2 is going to be capable of, and more importantly, what SUI's is going to be released. Like what games and what platforms are actually going to be on that gaming system, right? Because as we know, a lot of you gamers who exist in the Web 2 gaming space, you know that when a new console is released, one of the main things that people look at, what are the titles being released alongside the console. Right, I mentioned the 360, the PlayStation 3, and it wasn't a GameCube. It was the Wii, the Nintendo Wii that came out.
Yep.
All together, Sony had the best tech, but they had absolutely no good games on release. Like it was months after the PlayStation 3 was released that they actually had good AAA titles on it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think what's going to determine the success of these particular handhelds is which games are being released alongside them. Right. Mm-hmm. Because if you release the handheld, it doesn't matter how powerful the tech is. If you don't have fun games that people are looking forward to playing released alongside them, nobody's going to buy it. Right. Yep. So I think that's one thing in particular that some of these devs are going to need to pay attention to if they want these handhelds to be successful. You have to release the games that people are playing. Right. So like just off the top of my head, Pixels better be available because Pixels has some of the highest volume of daily active players out of any Web3 game currently, right? So if you don't have Pixels available to play on your handheld, bro, like you're gonna miss out a lot of that market share of gamers. But aside from that, another thing that I really enjoyed about this particular article is it's just telling you how fast the adoption of this type of technology is occurring, right? Like, I certainly could not have imagined that crypto-based handheld gaming platforms would be available this soon. Like these things are going to be released late this year or sometime, I think Q2 or Q3 of 2025, guys.
Yep.
So like I certainly did not expect this technology to go that fast. Again, whether it's successful is not yet to be determined, but it just shows you how much adoption and how much hype is going within this current market space, right? And so like this in addition to the stuff with Visa and MasterCard creating their debit cards is making me just like really even more turbo bullish for crypto than I already am. So like that's my thoughts on it and why I'm excited for what's to come the rest of 2024 and for 2025, bro. Because bro, can you imagine if these things took off along with GameFi? Yo, like it's gonna be fucking crazy. Because not only are people going to gravitate towards like the games, but they're also gonna start like aping into these handheld consoles, bro. Like insane, man. So like, what did you guys think about this article? And like just about the like the Web3 gaming and as a whole.
I'm a little bit iffy on it. So if you think about this, right? The thing that really stuck out to me was like, oh, they were like going to charge basically $1,000, and now it's like, it's maybe a little bit too much. We're just going to drop it to 600. It's like, are you really going to pay
the Saga 2? Yeah, Saga 2 was 1,000. I think the BitBoy is 500. The Steam Deck one, the SUI, doesn't have a price tag yet. So Saga is the one at 1,000.
Okay, yeah. So even in this article, they say this is like experimental technology, right? Are you really going to drop that amount of money? Here's what I'm seeing this. Whenever there's a new technology, the new technology is not very good. Think of computers when they first came out, right? But then also they're massively expensive. And it's like, and they don't work very good, right? Last cycle we had gaming play to earn, and that was quite frankly a failure, and the game sucked, and people were literally just playing the games to earn a paycheck. It wasn't real gaming. In fact, it even kind of left a bad taste in the mouth of gamers, right? So this cycle, it's like they're trying to change that around to actually having gaming now, like real gaming. And I think the space is doing a pretty decent job at it. But the issue that I'm running into right now is like, okay, cool. So we're using the normal methods for gaming, right, for gamers, to now transfer it over into Web3. But now we're trying to like set up consoles and handhelds as well. And I mean, how would you do that? So you would have to, with these consoles, you would have to have like a built-in crypto wallet, and then all like the little farms and stuff that would drop in the have the airdrops, right? Drop in all of your earnings. It would have to go directly to that wallet. How are you supposed to start moving things around? I suppose you could treat it kind of like how any other wallet would work, as far as on the computer goes, but then you're running into the issue of like, okay, multiple networks. How are you going to deal with that? You know, this is where I think it's a little bit too early right now. Imagine you get your freaking like little brother, right, who loves playing games. He's like, oh, cool, I got this little crypto gaming thing, and I get to play Illuvium on it, and I absolutely love Illuvium. It's a lot of fun, right? And so he's playing on that. And all of a sudden he's like, oh wait, so Illuvium has it on Avalanche and Polymatic. And enable for me to go get this special skin or whatever, I have to be on Polymatic because it's Polymatic exclusive. How do I do that? How do I switch over there? And then you're gonna have to go in there and be like, you gotta do this, you gotta click that, and you gotta click that. Do you understand how there's too many gears turning in the crypto space as of right now, where it's not integrated enough to actually be able to be like, hey, I'm just gonna go do a thing, right? I'm gonna turn on the console and go play a fucking game. Like, I think crypto right now is a little bit too complicated, and they are really going to have to make it like a one button push away from having this become adopted. However, I do agree with you that I am glad that gaming is finally kind of getting their shit together in Web3, and that they're now trying to make consoles for Web3 gaming as well, and that it is extremely bullish. Yeah. Frankly, I still think it's too early. I don't think there's enough simplicity in crypto right now to be able to do something like this. So I would not drop $600 fucking dollars or even $300 on a freaking game console.
Well, to be honest, Nate, I think the market for this is definitely going to be crypto native people for number one, and number two, I think whether it's a good or bad thing, for the most part, you mentioned it, I think a lot of people are going to gravitate this stuff because there's probably going to be some kind of airdrops associated with it, right? Like, we know that one of the primary reasons why the Saga was so successful is because of the bonk airdrop. And so what are these companies going to do in order to get people to buy in? They're probably going to do some kind of airdrop, bro. And that's what people are going to do. right? I think the gaming handled thing is a secondary thing to people going after this stuff for the airdrop, bro. But that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's what's going to happen. This is the same thing that happened with freaking Play and Earn last cycle with the gaming too. It's like, oh, you can play a game and earn money, and it's like, wow, okay, yeah, but the games suck. And I mean, are you even making enough? Well, a few of them did, but the other ones just kind of fell flat. I kind of feel like we're in the same spot. They're going to have to incentivize you, like, hey, we came out with this handheld. It's really cool, guys. It's new technology, and everyone's like, and they're like, oh, but we'll pay you. We'll pay you if you buy it. You know, we'll airdrop you something. That's ultimately what it is. I think it's too early, man. I'll look forward to this next cycle, but I do like that they're trying to invent it. I do like it.
How about you, Josh? Thoughts on this, bro?
You know, look, I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. I've never been a game person. Like, that's just not me. Like, I was a sports guy in high school and stuff like that. But what I will say is, I am very keen on identifying money-making opportunities, and so that blends in right along the lines of what you were talking about, adoption. Because if this is going to lead to adoption into the space where that I can capitalize on that, then it's something that I'm going to pay attention to. And I think it really strikes a chord to what I was speaking about earlier, and pretty much what you said, Jay, is the overwhelming theme is adoption. And whether it's in a financial sector or whether it's in gaming, whether it's GameFi, whether it's a physical device, it doesn't matter what it is. You know, once this cryptocurrency world starts to creep into everyday life and stuff like that, then of course adoption is going to occur, and there are going to be money-making situations there. So while I might who goes out and buys any of this stuff, I'm going to pay attention to the news on it. I'm going to pay attention to it because, you know, if I see an opportunity to you know, pad my financial situation, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, but that's overall my thoughts on it. It's not really a thought directly on the article, but just in general, you know, it all leads back to adoption, man. And, you know, we're definitely seeing it speed up more and more.
For sure. For sure. I think overall, if this was to really take off, I think the most successful ones are going to be the ones that allow for cross-chain, cross-platform play. Right, because for the BitBoy one, look, it looks cool. Everybody knows that it looks exactly like a Game Boy. But if that is going to be isolated to playing games built on Bitcoin, there's not going to be a lot of those, right? I mean, until they figure out ordinals, like you're going to have a very difficult time for like the OG Bitcoin developers to accept anything when they're still trying to get a handle on the ordinals, right? So I think the ones that are going to be the most successful are the ones that are going to allow for cross-platform, cross-chain play. Right. So like you're not going to be isolated to playing games built on Immutable. You're not going to be isolated to playing games built on Solana or built on AVAX or built on Polygon. Right. The ones that are going to be successful are going to be allow you to jump in between. Right. So like Nate says, it's early. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when they actually release it. Right. Right. But who knows? A lot of people are probably kicking themselves in the butt for not jumping on the saga because of how much money that made like on the secondary market. So like, we'll see, bro. Like, we'll see. Will, did you have any final thoughts on the article, bro?
As far as like gaming, I'm similar to Josh. I do play a lot of video games, but none of the video games I play have any sort of cryptocurrency aspect to them. I don't really see how the more modern cryptocurrency would integrate into a game other than like, you know, turning microtransactions into cryptocurrency. I think that would be nifty, and like turning, you know, like regular things like Call of Duty skins and whatnot into NFTs or ERC 404s or things of that nature. I do think that it's cool that they're coming out with these little game systems. It's a bit interesting what they're doing with their golden tic-tac-toe BitBoy or BitBoy mining console / hardware wallet / also you can play games. It's like it just like reminds me of like, hey, like you could have a spaghetti holder that not only is a spaghetti holder, but it's also like a 9mm wrench. So like you can hold your spaghetti and turn wrenches in your turn wrenches under the hood or whatever. It's just I see the correlation. So I'm being a little bit bombastic in my analogy, but I found that part amusing, and it's an interesting article. Like Josh had said, it's cool to see the new tech, and it's not my particular cup of tea, but I find it quite fascinating. So That's what I got. Have you got any final thoughts on this?
Yeah,
And then,
your final thoughts on this, bro. Do not use the damn BitBoy console as a hardware wallet. Do not fucking do it. Do not fucking do it. Do not take it around with you with the whole bunch of Bitcoin in there. Do not fucking do it, bro. You're just painting a big target on your back.
Dude, imagine I got millions of dollars on this Game Boy console. Oh, look at me play Pokemon.
Oh, there's no better way to telegraph yourself to bad actors than doing that. So just don't do it, man. Don't do it. That's my final thoughts on the article, Will.
excellent. Oh, it looks like we got another chat here from Mr. Dre Sims. Another thing to point out: projects on Pulse Chain also doing the 12-month halvening for their coins. I'm not entirely sure what this means.
Like loan token, the amount that is
Oh, there's other halvenings.
is yielded out as halved. Yeah, a lot of the tokens now, like the incentive tokens, are doing that. In fact, incentive itself does that. So it's like the yielding goes down.
I think I would be talking out of my ass if I said anything definitively about incentive, but from what I understood, it's that it can do it. It's in the code. I don't know if it's implemented or if it's not, but I do remember hearing that about incentives. It has the potential to have every 1 year. I would defer to your judgment or to someone who knows a little bit better on that. But this is absolutely fantastic. I love all these cool things that are coming out, and it's super duper nifty. Man, the chat is just freaking rolling right now. It's all about the yielding. Anyways, I want to give us a little bit of moment before we do our final closeout to just kind of like give the panel, give you guys an opportunity to just kind of like reminisce about like the past. We've almost been streaming for a year. Come like May or June, I believe, is when we're reaching that year mark. So like I'm gonna give you guys the opportunity here to just kind of like look back and say like, wow, it's cool. Well, not only look back, right? Because I don't want to be a person that lives in the past, and like this channel is certainly not going to be the thing in the past. But let's talk a little bit about like what we're glad for in the past, but like more importantly, what are the bright things that we have in the future as this channel, as the DGen Roundtable? What do the folks at home have to look forward to now that we're like, let's celebrate our memories, but also talk about like what's cool going forward. What can the maybe not expect of us, but what are some like potential things that we have in the near future? Where do you guys like see us going as far as a channel? Jay, why don't you go ahead and start us off, brother, if that's something you're interested in?
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, I certainly expected that we were going to be doing exactly what we are doing right now. I just didn't expect that we would grow to the scale that we have grown in such a short period of time, right? Because when we started this, I remember us talking about how, look, we're already doing this anyway and providing value for each other. We should just turn the cameras on and see if other people got some value. And if not, that's okay. We'll still be doing it anyway. So I knew we were going to be doing it regardless. Right? I just didn't think that people would get so much value out of it that over 1,000 people have now subscribed to our channel. We have almost 300 people in the Telegram chat. We have people like over we average like 60 to 70 people daily active members in that Telegram channel. Right. So that's not like a small number, a ton of different conversations going on in there. So definitely thankful, man. Right. Because for people to stay engaged with the content that you produce, it must mean you're doing something right. It must mean you're providing some kind of value for people's lives. So, because otherwise they wouldn't invest their time in you. Right. So that's definitely one thing looking back that surprised me, that we have achieved the kind of growth that we have in such a short period of time. And we're just going to keep going, right? Obviously, like we mentioned earlier, none of this is possible without the community and without the people that gave us their time and their wisdom and helped us along the way, right? So we didn't do this by ourselves, and we're just going to keep going. As far as like the stuff that we can look forward to the future, I mentioned this a few days ago, and we're going to announce it now, that every single Friday, and every Friday into perpetuity for as long as the DGen Roundtable exists, we are now going to be hosting fitness and nutrition AMAs. A lot of you guys who are in the chat know that we talk a lot more about crypto. And a lot of you guys know that we are also engaged very much in the red pill space. So you know that even though we're trying to create financial freedom and financial success for everybody in our group, everybody in our community, we also know that if you don't have the quality of life to match it, if you don't have the health to match it, then you're not going to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? So there's always a lot of conversation going on about fitness and nutrition in that chat. We piloted something along these lines in our team Telegram, and we've experienced such great success out of it that now we're deciding we're going to release something very similar to our community, right? And so the same way that you've seen us bring special guests on to talk about crypto, to talk about projects, to talk about specific things about that industry. We're going to be doing the same things when it comes to fitness and nutrition. We're going to be bringing over special guests, not only from the community itself, right? But to other people within the fitness and nutrition industry that have been successful. We're going to bring those minds into the Telegram, right? To speak and for our community to be able to ask questions from them, right? So it's not just going to be me. There's going to be other fitness and nutrition professionals present during those AMAs to give our community alpha the same way that project founders have done so for crypto. But for the most part, that is going to be isolated to our Telegram channel exclusively, right? So just for people within the Telegram, whether we decide to bring that same thing out to YouTube, yet to be determined. But if you want a piece of that action, that is isolated for our Telegram community only currently. So that is something that you can look forward to. And that's just part one, man. Like, that's just part one. There's a lot of things that we're working on in the background, not just for that specific section, but for other things too. So yeah, man, hop in that Telegram if you want to get the alpha. So that's for me. How about you, Josh, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, I can go ahead and go. It's funny. I remember the first couple streams that we did live and we had like 5 viewers, you know what I'm saying? And I was, everybody was like super nervous in the background. And for those, excuse me,
choked up.
For those first, right now. But for those first couple streams, we would have, maybe like 2 of us would have like 2 different channels running. Like I would run the show on my television or something like that just to get the viewership up and stuff like that. And, those quirky little things that we would try to do. And, only having like 40 or 50 views after like a week or 2. I remember those days and just the grind and the I don't know how naive I guess we were and just how new we were in learning the space. And then, fast forward to where we are now, we've had, upwards of 200-300 viewers given special guests and stuff like that. And we're constantly holding, upwards of 50 or more on a Sunday episode and stuff. So just seeing the viewership increase is awesome. One of the biggest things that I love, though, is seeing the growth in you guys, the growth in the team, everyone stepping up their game and just the knowledge and, rising to the challenge, just trying to put forward the best information that we can. So definitely, as for me, one of my favorite things is just seeing the growth in you guys and the growth in the team. As far as where we could go, compounding viewership, of course, especially as we get into a super frothy bull market. I think that compounding viewership is definitely in the cards. Definitely doing like meetups, going to guest speakerships, doing more conferences and stuff like that. Those are all things that I foresee on the horizon that, we've already, a couple of us have already done some conferences, but definitely, more conferences, more special guests as far as us going to places and us having people on here and doing meetups and stuff. But yeah, big shout out to the community. Like Jay was saying, big shout out to the influencers also, the influencers that came on our show when, we had less than 200 subs or when we had less than 300 subs or whatever it was. We started the streaming in like June, I think it was. And then we had our first special guest, which is Walrus. We had him on in like August or September or something like that. And then we had DCC and then we had, the list goes on from there of everybody that we've had. So shout out to the influencers for welcoming us and, yeah, just, my favorite thing is seeing people in the chat that yeah, for sure. And my favorite thing is seeing people in the chat that I don't know who they are, and that's awesome. And they're like engaging and they're coming back and stuff like that. And I started noticing that around probably Christmas time. I started seeing some names. I was like, I don't know this. I've never seen this person before. And then we get the flood into the chat and the Telegram chat and stuff like that. And it's awesome to see that, we're expanding outside of our immediate group when we started, and, that core group that we had of supporters, folks that we were talking to before we even started the channel. We're like, hey, come check us out. We're now extending past that. And that's pretty cool to see. So thankful for the opportunity. Absolutely love being part of the team. Love seeing you guys grow. And I just hope I can match pace. Nate, what about you, bud?
It's been a hell of a journey for me. I ain't gonna lie about that, because at first I'm like, oh, I'm doing this myself. Okay, I need to get out of the rat race. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to crypto. And then all of a sudden I meet a group of men that really added a lot of value for me. And it wasn't just value. Then all of a sudden, we start getting together talking about things. And then we start a YouTube, because exactly as Jay said, it's kind of like put it out in the ether. Let's see if anybody watches. If we can help somebody out, then that would be fantastic. But what I've started noticing is that it's not like we as a group here in the leadership chat and everything are like, we're basically brothers at this point. I trust you guys with so much, and that's saying a lot. And then on top of it, there are so many of you guys, you filthy degenerates in our chat, that you guys come out hard and help out as many people as possible. And I mean, Tam right here, she's out there every single day on the Twitter spaces and everything, just sending as much positive energy as possible. And quite frankly, like this is a special place. This is an absolutely special place. And so on behalf of all you guys here, I'm going to be taking, I think this is my 6th shot during the show.
Oh, Jesus, bro.
I am celebrating this guys, we're only going up from here. There's a lot of, it's not just about crypto anymore. This is about leveling up as individuals overall. And we are all going to help each other with that. And if you want to be a part of that, right? If you want to get on that ride and become a much better human being than you are currently, hop on the ride with us, guys. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Excellent.
It's a great accountability thing too, because you guys were the ones that I came to and I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And it was, we even started a physical fitness accountability chat in our little group Telegram that we have. And just everybody posting goals and stuff like that. So it transcends cryptocurrency. It transcends all that stuff. It's a good, solid accountability group, regardless if it's finances, cryptocurrency, life, whatever it is, career, it doesn't matter. It's good to have a core group. And I think we have created and maintained, and we're growing something that is absolutely something to be proud of. So.
Outstanding. I freaking love it. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and warm right on up. We're going to transition right on over into our closing segment here. So for my panelists, go ahead and let the folks at home know where they can find you and what you got going on in the near future. Mr. J, we'll start with you, my friend. Where can the folks find you? What's going on?
Guys, as always, thank you so much for spending a bit of your time here this wonderful Sunday evening. We know that time is your most valuable asset, so we do appreciate that you spend some of that time here with us. And also, we know that trust is another one of your most valuable assets. And like I've alluded to several times during the stream, the fact that you guys keep coming back in here every single Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, in the Telegram, in our emergency meetings for almost a damn near close to a year, it tells us that you trust us to a significant degree. And we're very appreciative of that too, because trust is something difficult to earn and easy to lose. So thank you for that as well. As far as where you can find me, you can always find me on X at _P90Hex, on Instagram at agent_J Schroth. As far as what I've got going on in the near future, probably something on the Whiskey Wednesday. We might have a special guest. Who knows? And then our first AMA on Friday. It'll happen either before or after book club. So Look forward to that for sure. Josh, how about you, brother?
Yeah, so my name is Josh. You guys can find me on Twitter, on Instagram at Chocolate Taints. I'm also in the DGen Roundtable Telegram group, so make sure you guys join up. As far as what I got coming up, slowly getting back into the grind of things on here and just continuing what I've been doing. Yep, just looking forward to springtime. It was 80 degrees out today. Looking forward to the change of weather and the next couple months of growth in our channel. That's what I'm looking forward to. What about you, Nate?
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to this. This is it's a special place, what's going on here. And for everyone watching, you can tell just by watching us and all the information comes through. It's like, hey, this is something I need to keep an eye on, right? We are only growing from here, and there's a lot of new things that are coming up. So watch for that, guys. Again, I'm going to shout out the Telegram group, right? As of right now, it's just simply a chat, but like in a very short amount of time here, maybe in like a month or two, it's going to turn into, number one, no longer free, but number two, it's going to turn into something much bigger, much bigger. So stay tuned, guys. Get in there. And yeah, let's do this.
And you guys can find Mr. Nate, the Ascending Man, at Linktree/The Ascending Man. I'm going to go ahead and drop that link on over into the chat.
Oh,
but making sure
you shouldn't have. Thank you.
Making sure to give it a 7-second delay, so that way it appears right as soon as I'm saying it for the folks at home who are live, because I care about you guys. So there you go. That is where you guys can find Nate, is at Linktree/The Ascending Man. For me, you guys can find me and all the work that I do, all of my socials, all of my everything over at Linktree/Will Stevenson. And I want to give a quick little shout out to the panelists. Thank you guys for joining me on this fantastic Sunday. I'm not gonna lie, I totally forgot that I was hosting this until about 45 minutes before this show came up. So I think it turned out pretty damn good for a spur of the moment thing. I was like, oh shit, I gotta pull over and read these articles so that way I know what the hell's going on. So I think it worked out pretty good, ladies and germs. So for the folks at home, if you guys have any comments or suggestions for how we can better run this show, be sure to hop on over into our Telegram. You can find it at bit.ly/degenerate_roundtable, and you guys hop on over in there. Give us a shout out, give us a tag, let us know what we can do better, what you would like to see happening in the near future. We love hearing suggestions. We love hearing criticisms. We love all of that stuff. As one of the things that Michael Sartain likes to say that I like to parrot is that we embrace confrontation, so that way we avoid conflict. So if you guys have any sort of suggestions for us, we would love to hear it, both good and bad. We'll ignore the bad, we'll listen to the good, and this channel will will go on down into the histories. So one of the other things that I'm working on, as you can see in this little description right here, is my Hex Meetup Telegram. So that is t.me/Hex_Meetup. What that is it's a group for Hexicans to meet up with each other. It's just essentially a little Telegram that has a whole bunch of different locations inside of it. What you guys do is you hop on in there, you give a little introduction, you read through the Start Here page first, because that's the most important thing. You read through the Start Here, you go through the introductions, you find out who other people are, what they're doing, where they're at, if they're down for meetups, if they're not. And then what you do is you can create a little topic of conversation that talks about where you are in the States, and you can meet up with other people in that area. Right now I'm in Illinois. I've been reaching out to other folks in the Illinois area just from inside the chat and just kind of seeing what's going on. There's some folks that are up a little bit far away from me, and I have something of a schedule to keep, so I can't quite go and meet them. But this is just an example of how Mexicans can go and do real life direct transmission of energy and hang out with each other and shake hands, kiss babies, and throw axes and do all that stuff. Hopefully not all at the same time, maybe at the same time. I don't know, whatever floats your boat. But that's where you guys can find me. bit.ly/degenerate_roundtable and t.me/Hex_meetups. Well, other than that, we want to thank you guys. Like Jay had said earlier, we want to thank you for spending your valuable time with us. We know that it's your most important asset. My goodness, there's my stuttering coming back on. Mrs. Producer, go ahead and get that trigger finger ready, because we're about to end this stream. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to remind you to degen responsibly.